Hello everyone, it's your buddy Carmine coming to you live from New York City. We are in the county of Richmond, one of the boroughs of New York City. And while I'm driving, I just thought it might be a great time for me to tell you about when I had the opportunity to photograph Ronald Reagan. It was approximately 1976 when he made a visit to Staten Island. He was, I believe he was governor of California at the time, and he was running for president of the United States of America. Now, in 1976, I'm pretty sure it was 76 or 75, I was in high school. I was one of the 12 photographers, high school students that were part of the photo squad. Don't laugh, that's what it was called in the 70s. We were the photographers that would go out and we would photograph all the events in and around the high school. Sporting events, shows, plays, musical assemblies. We would photograph everything, including the big football games that would happen on Thanksgiving. These were huge. Okay, how do I get to photograph Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan comes to Staten Island. He was, electioneering. He was being a politician, trying his best to garner votes from people that lived on Staten Island and in New York City. He went, I guess his coffers paid to rent out a hall. It was called back then, it's gone now, the hall was called the Shalimar. So it was in the newspaper, the local newspapers, that Ronald Reagan was going to visit and do some handshaking at the Shalimar hall. It was a wedding hall, and he was going to be there. So I spoke to my photography professor and I said, what do you think the chances of the Secret Service, whoever, letting in a high school student take photographs of Ronald Reagan? Now, don't forget, Ronald Reagan was a big movie star and he was charismatic. He was the governor and he had a pretty good chance of becoming president. Well, as you know, he lost his first election for the presidency, but he got it on his second turn, his second chance. So my photography professor, Robert Lonigan, he said, I recommend you do this. Put on a shirt and tie, grab your camera, and take a chance. You're a teenager. What's the Secret Service going to do? They can say, come on in, or they could say, get out of here. Well, it was my lucky day. I went to that Shalimar hall. I went with a shirt and trousers and black leather shoes and my camera. I think the camera I used, if I remember correctly, was the medium format film camera, the Mamiya C330. I had that camera for years and I absolutely loved it. And I had a flash. I don't remember the brand of the flash. So here I go, I guess it was 7 p.m. one night. And I go to the hall and there's the Secret Service with the metal detectors and their guns on their hips. And I says, well, here we go. Don't forget now, I'm a teenager. So I get up to the metal detector, it's my turn, and the Secret Service agent makes me unzip my camera bag. Nothing in it but film and batteries for the flash, etc., my camera. And he says, okay, walk through the metal detector. I walked through the metal detector. Of course, I had my car keys in there. So he says, okay, go ahead. And that was it. No press pass. I was a teenager in high school. No credentials, nothing. nothing but my desire to photograph Ronald Reagan. So I make my way to this long line of Republican Party, I don't know, people waiting to shake his hand and have a photo opportunity with him. Now, I don't even think I was old enough to vote. So I did not go on the line to shake his hand because I would have been too close to take his photograph. So I went off the line and I got a position about 12 feet, 15 feet away from Ronald Reagan. And I brought the mamiya C330. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, that's a twin lens reflex where you look down and you focus. And I put him right in the viewfinder, and I had the perfect shot. There was an American flag in the background, and I believe the flag was one of those bicentennial flags that had the big circle of stars and 76 written on the flag. It's beautiful. So of course I was shooting, at the time I was shooting Tri-X, nice fast film, and my flash, and I says, well, here we go. I took 2 frames the whole night because the place was so packed that if I didn't take those 2 frames at that second, all photo opportunities would have been lost. So he's in my viewfinder. I wait for him he's up on a little bit of a stage, not too much. I would say it was about 2 to 3 feet on a platform, and he was beaming. His smile was beaming. Don't forget, he was a former Hollywood superstar actor. So he knew how to smile, and he knew how to put on his best face, let's say. So I had the shutter speed set. That's a focal plane. Wait a minute. That's I can't think right now, I'm driving. Anyway, the C330, you can have the flash at any shutter speed. So I set it at 60th of a second. Now the flash I had was super powerful. It was one of these flashes, I don't remember the name. I want to say Sun Pack. Don't forget, this is the 1970s, where it had a giant head and a long body, and you can hold it up handheld, or you can just leave it attached to your L frame underneath the camera. And that's what I did. I left it attached, and it had a nice diffuser built into it. It was a plastic diffuser built right into it. It was made for wedding photography, which is what I wanted to do when I graduated high school. So he's in the viewfinder. I have it all set. He's in perfect focus. Shutter speed, 60th of a second. Don't forget now, nothing's automatic. There's no TTL, there's no through the lens light metering with the flash. Everything is manual. F-stop, I'm pretty sure I set it at 5.6. This is memorable, don't forget. So it really just like burns into your head. My film, Tri-X 400 ASA. If you have gray hair, it's ASA, not ISO. That's a joke. Okay, he lifts his head up. He goes to shake a constituent's hand with this beaming smile. Bam! I take the first frame, crank the film, refocus, wait for him to look up, have a nice posture, a nice beaming smile. Bam, I take another one, and just like that, they open the floodgates, and out of nowhere, 1,000 people were in front of me, on the side of me. He was gone. He was buried in this sea of people that wanted to shake his hand. Now, the good thing about a twin lens reflex is you can hold it upside down, hold it above your head, and look up and focus and take photographs way above the crowd. Well, that didn't work out. That's great to teach people how to do it, but when it comes to being in the war, as we say, sometimes that just doesn't work out. So I leave. I was only there maybe from the time I get searched by the Secret Service, and by the time I leave, it was probably 12 minutes. I get back in my car, go home, immediately develop the film. And I took my time with this. Took temperature readings, measured out I think back then I was using Dectol. Let me think. It was probably D76. With Kodak indicator stop bath and Kodak fixer, and washed it for a good 10 minutes. Even the rinse water, I kept an eye out on the temperature. I didn't want any reticulation. Look that up. Reticulation. When you have a severe temperature change on your film, you can actually crack the emulsion of your film. Maybe it was a big thing in the 70s. I haven't seen it lately. So, after the film, as you know, comes out of the fixer, and before I rinsed it, I unraveled it, and there were only 2 frames on the whole roll of film. I didn't take anything before it, and I didn't take anything after. Talk about wasting a roll of film. But don't forget, the film was 69 cents a roll in 1976, 75, whenever it was. And there it was, perfectly exposed, sharp, perfect. I washed it, dried it. Now back then, we didn't have a film drying specialized cabinet with, they have them now with fans and they blow nice warm filtered air. No, 2 hours. It takes 2 hours to dry either 35 millimeter or 120 film. 2 hours minimum. So I wait 2 hours. Now, by this time, it's like 11:30 p.m. My parents, they didn't really mind because it was, basically, it was for something good, not for something bad. So the film dries. Take it into the enlarger. It was a Bogen, B-O-G-E-N. They're still around. Bogen enlarger. I upgraded the standard enlarging lens maybe 3 years prior to this date, and I upgraded it to a beautiful EL Nikon. Don't forget it. EL stands for enlarging. An EL Nikon lens. Oh, what a gorgeous piece of optics that was. Gorgeous. Made in Japan. Just wonderful enlarging lens. And I start doing my test strips, get the exposure down, develop the paper. I made 8x10s. And while it was still wet, after I developed it, stopped it, and fixed it, and rinsed it a little bit, sloshed it around, get the fixer off, I ran upstairs and showed my parents, who were asleep. I said, look at this. What do you think of Ronald Reagan? Now don't forget, he was just a guy running for president. He wasn't president yet. He was just the governor. So they were like, "Oh, that's nice. Next time, don't wake us up." to show us your pictures. Anyway, if you want to see the picture of Ronald Reagan that I took when he was running for president, the first time when he did not win. Let me just make this turn here. Gotta pay attention. If you want to see that photograph that I took of Ronald Reagan with my mamiya C330 in New York back in the 70s, how about if I show you that picture right